Turi, and I am a senior theater performance major, and I play Blanche Larrabee in this production.
And hello, my name is Abby Golden. I am a sophomore and I am a theater major with an emphasis in performance. And I play Jolene Larrabee in Much Ado About Murder.
So I play Blanche Larrabee in this production. She's the wife and the mother of Jolene Larrabee, and she's the owner of the home where the play takes place. I think to best describe Blanche Larrabee is, I think she's very closely related to Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development. Like, she's definitely the rich socialite housewife. And she is just kind of like very sarcastic. Like, she'll just come off with quips about everyone and everything, and she loves gossip. And yeah, that's really just her, I think.
And a small biography of Jolene Larrabee. She is the daughter of Blanche Larrabee, and she is their only child, and she is adopted. She has a fiance named Steven. And essentially she is very kind. She has a strong, healthy relationship with nearly basically everyone in the show. Just a very lovely, kind, caring, very family-oriented person.
For me, I hope the audience kind of just takes away a lot of laughter, a lot of just kind of that, just like, like, I think I know a Blanche Larrabee in my life kind of situation. I think everyone knows someone that's sort of similar to her and has a similar personality. And yeah, I think that just for the audience to kind of see all of these different characters and how they interact with each other is going to be a super awesome part of this show.
Yeah, and I would say something that I would like the audience to take away from Jolene is the first thing that comes to mind is sympathy and empathy because you will see Jolene goes through a wild ride throughout the play. When you don't think it can get any worse, of course it does, especially for Jolene. But also, I think Jolene is someone who is really respectable in what she does and how she treats people. So I would say those two things.
For me, I really hope the audience kind of just takes away the entire story and just how fun and zany and kind of off the wall it is. And I think especially now during like all these times, I think just having a lighthearted kind of just like a show that makes you step back and go, that was like really entertaining, is something that we really need right now. And I just hope that they can kind of put their own lives aside and kind of just turn everything off and all this craziness and just enjoy this show, because I think that's all we really need right now, is just to sit back and watch a theater production in any capacity.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Reagan. I would say just to sit back and relax, with everything happening. Sometimes theater can be a struggle or a good story. I don't know. The art of theater is something that is so unique, and, you're not going to get it out of everything. So I feel just to sit back and have this lovely little fun show just to watch, I think it's going to be really fun.
I think the most fun moment of this rehearsal process is kind of similar to any rehearsal process, which is like getting before you start working or like in breakout rooms now, just to kind of talk with everyone and check in on them and see how they're doing. Because the reality is, like, I really haven't seen anyone in so long. And so it's good to just be able to catch up and get to see where everyone's at and then dive into doing what we love. And it's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, there are some people I didn't know previously in the cast, and it was great knowing them. And it's funny because even with you know, this barrier of like, it's not in person, you're not physically there with that person, I still feel at least that I'm connecting with everyone just as I would if we were on stage in person. So it's really interesting seeing how connecting with people through this and, you know, just online, it's funny to see how the connections are still they almost feel the same as if they were in person. So I'm really valuing that.
I think what makes this show a little bit different than most murder mysteries is, I think, the opportunity to ask characters like questions. I don't think I think that they do definitely exist in murder mysteries, but I don't think out of any of the ones I've seen that I've really seen one where you could directly ask the characters questions. And I think also this being a virtual production, I think it kind of makes that process a little easier, actually, to have the questions kind of either typed out or just like asked over Zoom. And I think it's going to add a super cool interactive element to this story in like a different way, and that's going to be really cool.
I 100% agree. Because not only is the audience able to ask the characters like little minute details about where they were, what they were doing, but also they get to see the murder room where you know, the victim was murdered. So I think those two things are really, really cool. You know, usually it's just like the characters on stage and they're digging around trying to find clues, but for this, you yourself can go search too, and you might even figure out who done it before the actual characters do, and I think that's really cool.
I think for me, as like an actor, the process has definitely changed, but it's also stayed the same in a lot of ways. I think that having kind of that pre-rehearsal ritual of like warming up and stuff, like that definitely has changed a lot. And I always kind of would value that walk to the theater as kind of a time to get centered and focused and into the space that I kind of wanted to be to rehearse. But now I kind of have adjusted, and also Abby has it up, but the background in like my tiny little apartment, setting that up every day has kind of become like my walk to the theater in a way, and kind of just being like, okay, the background's up and I can start to get ready to be in my role. But then I guess like the text work and digging into the character, that's all the same anyway, because that kind of happens outside of the rehearsal room anyway. And then also, I guess the aspect of like getting to socially interact with everyone is a little different, but also still really rewarding and kind of the same thing. So
Yeah, I think the biggest change between if it were, you know, in person or not is like well, everything, the show, it's almost like the show comes to us in a sense. Like usually like the theater itself comes to us because we've received ring lights and backdrops and costumes and, you know, props, and it's like that is insane. um so just that is kind of crazy to have it. I know for me as well, like I have a small dorm room and to have all these things like crowding your dorm room, it's like it's almost like you're constantly at least a little bit in the show, a tiny bit. Like for example, I don't know, it's just hard to describe because it's weird to go from like you have your own personal space where you are Reagan or Abby or Brian or whoever else is in the cast, and then you go and you know, get into costume with the cast, and it's almost like you're growing into the character with them. And that also happens at home, but now the spaces are kind of merging. So you know, you walk into your dorm and you're kind of in the theater already, and it's just really different than what I'm used to, but I don't think that's a bad thing. If anything, it helps me, you know, kind of stay in the mindset, It's a lot less stressful, going back and forth, though we would get our exercise. But yeah, I think it's different, but it's not bad overall.
My biggest advice, first of all, to sit back and enjoy the show. And also, what you see is not what you think you see. I think the play is written in a way that you are meant to automatically suspect whatever character you are going to suspect. But by the end, it'll completely flip. So really no one is out of the question for being the murderer. I think it could really be anyone.
Yeah, definitely. Just my advice is expect the unexpected. You really have to pay attention a little bit because there's little hints of who the murderer is, and that you can miss them just at the flip of a switch. So really, really paying attention and listening to what every little detail is. And anything can happen. Don't settle for too long. Something can always go wrong.
Come see Much Ado About Murder.
Running March 10th through the 14th.